Tonight's episode is dedicated to the memory of Kevin Sullivan. Hey everyone, welcome back. It is time for a state of wrestling this week. That's right, we have no reviews for you this week. We are all caught up on the G1. The G1 final goes this week. Probably, I think it's tomorrow or Friday or whatever it is. Whatever Friday is, the 16th, whatever. I think it's the 16th. That'll be the final, and we'll have that for you next week. But for this week, because there's no reviews, we have a state. With me once again, we have Campo.Reviews, the man who reviews movies, TV shows, everything in between. Whatever that team is now, Utah
The Utah hockey
Things,
team,
the Utah Things,
Hockey Club. I don't even know.
the Utah Saints. Remember the Utah Saints?
I do not.
Okay, they were a band back in the early 90s, kind of like
apparently.
EMF, electronic something. They were kind of weird.
Like ELO's cousin.
Yes, EMF, exactly. But before we get into the state, let us touch upon a few things. Make sure you go to that subscribe button, give it a little click, ring that bell for notifications to know whenever a state or a review drops. So it'll help us out tremendously. So before we get into the state, let's talk about a little news story that happened earlier last week. We lost a wrestling great. Kevin Sullivan passed away, the Taskmaster himself.
I think it's a bigger loss than a lot of people think.
Mm-hmm.
All controversies aside of whatever, the whole thing, but one of the better bookers of that time.
Yeah, he really helped that early WCW take off.
If you're gonna look at a guy like Vince Russo, well, like, disrespect aside, because we know fuck Vince Russo, right? But like, Vince Russo did a lot at one point, but so did Kevin Sullivan. Kevin Sullivan was the counterpart on the opposite end of what Vince Russo was doing when Vince Russo was good.
Yeah.
Vince Russo got too many jobs later where people expected what he did in that period where it worked.
I think Russo, to put it lightly, Russo's bullshit caught up to him.
Right. And it's like his time in WWE, that perfect moment where everything worked.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Sullivan was the guy in WCW where everything worked.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, I think, no disrespect to Eric Bischoff, but I think Eric Bischoff gets a lot more credit than he deserves. Where
because
I think
he was part of the NWO.
Kevin Sullivan
doesn't get the credit. Him and Dusty did a tremendous job.
And I think,
and everybody talks about how great Dusty was and this and that.
But I think when Dusty left is the period where it starts to taper off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And say what you will about the gimmicks that he had, the Taskmaster, was it the Dungeon of Doom, the Faces of Fear?
But I think those were just things to make the people he was wrestling look better.
Yes, absolutely. And like, even to this day, like, Kevin Sullivan was a big part in reforming Ring of Honor back in 2016, 2017, right? Like, he brought them back to prominence. He even had a few matches in the ring. He's been doing some work with Billy Corgan and the NWA. Like, he helped Billy Corgan tremendously in the NWA, like, to get like booking and like to get some talents and stuff like that. Like, people don't realize, like, people see Kevin Sullivan as the manager, Kevin Sullivan, Taskmaster, whatever.
People see the eyebrows.
Yes. But people don't realize what he did behind the scenes. So before we got into anything, I just wanted to offer up our condolences to the Sullivan family and the fact that he was a tremendous talent in the world of wrestling, and he's someone that's going to be missed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that out of the way, RIP Kevin Sullivan. And we'll get right into our state. Let us start with, like we usually do, let's start with WWE. A lot of title changes have been going on. That tag title bounced around a little bit. It went from, was it from Grayson Waller and thing to DIY, and then 2 weeks later it went to the Bloodline, and now Fatu is official. It is official that he's hurt.
Yeah, and we talked about this earlier, that I think that title, no disrespect to Jacob Fatu, should have went to God as a stat padder. Mm-hmm. Right? And I think we all agree on that. that's what should have happened, and I think that's what's going to end up happening because it's going to be called freebirding it or whatever.
Yeah, they're gonna call it Freebird rules, I
But
guess.
it's like, yeah, DIY. We have this thing. I'm not a big, you know me. I'm not a big Champa slash
Gargano guy.
Gargano fan. I know you are.
Yeah, I love me some
But
Johnny Gargano.
you got to witness them in their prime, right? I'm watching them later, and for me,
Yeah,
that's like I don't care for them, and maybe it's just because I missed that period, right? So even though I got to go back and watch that stuff and enjoy it, it's I don't have that same
nostalgia for it.
I don't have the gravitas, like that's not pulling me in. Um and but I think it was too soon, but I know there's injuries there.
Yeah,
And that is what it is. Poor Gargano's like his career is just plagued by injury.
yeah,
Great wrestler. But yeah, God should have got it. It shouldn't have been Jacob Fatu. I know maybe
yeah.
there's like a cause of injury is why that didn't happen.
Tonga Loa is still not 100% from what
He
I
did
understand.
crack his head at Money in the Bank, and I think everybody was like,
And the eye patch is just a cover up to probably concussion issues.
yeah. But I think when we have the elements of greatest tag teams of all time in the mix, and you didn't give it to them, that
Yeah,
tells us that maybe something is a little bit wrong, right?
yeah,
It's unfortunate that it might have to go to them through freebirding, but good for Tonga Loa. I mean, good for
yeah.
Tama Tonga.
Tonga, yeah. It cements
Um,
his, I guess, it cements his, what's the word I'm looking for?
his legacy
His
as like one
legacy.
of the
That's the word
greatest
I'm
tag
looking for.
teams,
Yeah.
because it's for me. And I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and this will link on to this. The Lucha Brothers situation.
That's another one
Possibly
I
going to
wanted to touch
WWE.
upon. Yeah.
We'll go with it right now.
It's speculation as of right now.
As of right now, because as far as we know, the rumor is that both guys have said that WWE has been in contact, but they have not um
And
entertained
not in
that.
contact because that would be contract tampering, but they've shown interest in
And
them.
they've shown interest, but both
Yeah.
guys have also, from the insider perspective, has showed that they may not um be interested in going to WWE. Should they do go to WWE, I think immediately you give them the NXT tags. Let's just fan book
Yeah.
this.
Right away.
Immediately give them that. Whether or not they win the other tag titles is fine, either one of them, but one of them, maybe two of them, maybe both of them. If they do win the NXT alone, I think they're already in the conversation for greatest tag teams of all time. If they pull in both WWE main roster titles as well,
Yeah.
I think there's no
I mean, I
conversation
could
that
see him going straight to Raw and defeating
right. But
Finn and
I think we talked about this, right? Where WWE likes to build legacy for people.
yep.
And I think the way to build the legacy for them would to have them first win NXT and then go on to win the rest, right? Because that
Yeah.
adds that stat padding to their careers. Should they win NXT? Should they win one title? Doesn't matter. I think any one singular tag team title out of the three in WWE that goes
Yeah.
to them, if they should go there, already makes them greatest of all time. Like not the
Well, I mean,
greatest, but in the conversation.
just look at FTR. They've won NXT and they won main roster
Yeah,
tag belts, right?
correct.
So
The only thing I see that maybe takes away from them in that aspect is that outside of those three tag belts that belong to WWE, which is like if you win one, if you win three, great. But I think it's kind of like you start to question it at all winning all three because it's like uh it's intercompany, right? It's one
yeah,
company. Um, I still think should they only win one, they're in the conversation for greatest tag teams of all time.
yeah. Because not many tag teams out there could say they've won multiple belts
But
with
it
multiple
takes away
companies.
from what they could do in the future, right? Because by the time they were
Yeah.
to exit those contracts, they'd be very old to the point where maybe
Well,
even in
Pe-
Japan,
Penta's already
Noah,
40. Penta is
right? So
40.
that's what I'm saying. So maybe let's say they get 5-year contracts. That's probably what it will be, 3 to 5.
3 to 5. Yep.
They exit those contracts. Even in Japan, in like Noah slash NJPW, maybe even All Japan, you might be too old that they might not even want to give you tag belts, right? And I
Yeah.
think
But I mean, that at that point, AAA is the way to go for them.
maybe, but I think they've already won those. My point is, do you take the money and the credibility of WWE, or do you cement your legacy by winning multiple other tag team belts? And I think they do go to WWE, but I just think credit aside, flaws aside, blah blah blah. Let's just look at it how it
Yeah.
is. You at the end of the day, you'll still be remembered as one of the greatest, but I think you lose a little bit by going to WWE because your wrestling style
It's
and how
almost like
specific
selling out in a way.
it is in a sense, but not really because like I'm not going to judge them on going there because there's nothing
No.
wrong with going to WWE. The thing is their style of wrestling is very catered to CMLL, AEW, New Japan,
Yeah.
Ring of Honor. When you go to WWE and you get neutered a bit, does it do your title wins mean as much when your matches are half?
Yeah. At
You know what I
60%,
mean?
like we call it. Yeah.
I know I just spent so long explaining that, but that's
Yeah.
basically what I was going for. Does it
No,
mean as much when your
my
matches are half?
fear is they'll automatically get stuck into that LWO Rey Mysterio mid card vortex.
I don't know if they'll go LWO, sorry. But I do believe in the mid card vortex, and I think that's where they will end up. They will win a tag title for sure. But that aside, it's the matches, right?
Yeah.
Who is gonna have a good tag match against them? The Usos,
Yeah.
okay, and Street Profits. Other than
And
that,
which let's
because
touch on that right
I'm
now
gonna be
because
honest with
apparently
you,
the Street Profits are split up now.
they are, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even as much as you love them, and I'd like to see a great match between them. I don't think DIY ever comes back to the capabilities that they ever were,
Mm-hmm.
where a match against the Lucha Brothers would be the same thing. So to me, there's two options: it's Street Profits or it's
The Usos.
the Usos that would have the epic tag team match of the year, with
Well, I
them.
mean, to me, Usos versus Lucha Bros is a dream match.
Oh, and God versus Lucha Bros is a dream match too, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think Tongaloa has it
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. Tongaloa really never.
This is the most apolitical conversation we've ever had about WWE.
That's true. That's very true. So yeah, going back to our tag team topics, yeah, apparently the Street Profits. Any reason why it was given? I didn't hear anything about why they broken up.
I don't know, but we won't. I won't speculate.
Yeah, and yeah, sticking on WWE. Apparently, new member of the New Day, Odyssey Jones.
Weird. Forced. Not a
It's to
huge.
replace. We know Big E's not coming back, so this is to replace.
He's okay. He's okay.
Yeah, that's
Well, I
fine.
don't. I haven't seen anything from him where I should be like excited for this.
Yeah.
I'm not a big New Day guy to begin with. Let's be honest.
Um, let's go. Two main events announced for Bash at Berlin. We got Randy Orton versus Gunther because brand split, whatever.
It's a put over.
And we got Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes.
That doesn't make any sense. They're trying to turn instead of doing the story where you turn Cody Rhodes, you're turning Kevin Owens,
Yeah.
and it's stupid.
Unless this is going to be a screw finish
It's not
with
going to be a screw finish.
with Roman, no.
The Roman is too soon.
Yeah, they did bring
for
him back
anyone
too soon.
who judged me on what I was saying when we did our review, including you,
Mhm.
all of the media outlets came out, What Culture, everyone, and they did special videos, segregated videos just about that incident where they all admitted it's too soon.
I would have hoped for a Roman return at the Rumble.
Right? Am I wrong for that? Now that you're thinking about what I said when we talked
Yeah.
about it, am I not wrong for that?
Hindsight being 2020, of course. Yeah. Like Roman coming back at the Rumble, not winning the Rumble, but setting up a feud for Mania at the Rumble.
It's too soon because the reason for bringing him back now is too fresh, number one. Number two, you didn't set up anything out of it. You didn't set
No.
up anything.
Like they didn't even go. Like my assumption was going to be Cody versus Roman at Bash in Berlin.
For all of the love of God, before we exit WWE, this dumb shit with the bracelet and CM Punk and your family's not really in the bracelet, bro. This is why I don't watch WWE.
Yeah, some of the storylines are absolutely ridiculous.
When they hit storylines, they fucking hit. They are the
Yeah.
king of hitting on storylines. I will never doubt WWE for when they're hitting on a storyline. Okay.
But out of 10, how many do they hit? 2, 3?
2, no, like 0.5. And then that one drags on forever. Bloodline.
Yeah, because the one that hit was the Bloodline. Yeah.
And it is what it is. People are tired of Bailey. Damage control. Okay, good storyline. But now where's it going? Fuck, nobody gives a
shit. Dakota's hurt. So what's happening there now?
Because guess what? Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. No, it's true. They wrote off Seth Rollins yet again.
Because guess why? Guess why? Nobody gives a shit.
But the thing is, you did it with Bronson Reed. If you're not going to make Bronson Reed look good, what's the point of having Bronson Reed taking out
Oh,
Seth Rollins?
I can explain that to you perfectly. Because nobody gives a shit.
Good point. All right. Any other WWE points, or we're good?
I don't have any.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about AEW. Again, matches have been fantastic. Like in-ring
What's the
work.
okay? I'm just gonna throw this out there. I'm cutting you off.
Yeah,
What the fuck is the Bryan Danielson thing?
I have no clue. I'm confused on that
Why
myself.
the fuck did you give us that whole fucking spiel about all this shit and then fucking give us this whole spiel about fucking Jeff Jarrett and him and the fucking thing? I'm sorry for swearing so much, but you're not monetized, so who gives a shit?
Yeah,
And then you made them fight each other, and you made it a goddamn blood feud.
but
And
then they hug at the
one
end.
guy can't wrestle. He's not supposed to wrestle. One guy was like, "No, we're best friends, Owen Hart," and then you fucking blood feuded it, and then it was like, "Oh, it's okay." The
Yeah, and
match was
made
fucking amazing.
oh, it was, and I'm surprised like Jarrett that was still able
Bro,
to
Jeff
go
Jarrett has not had a match like that in 20 years.
30.
That was fucking amazing.
Yeah,
What a gold mine of a fucking match. That Dynamite, listen to me. In storyline terms, that Dynamite was dog shit.
yeah.
And on paper, Jesus Christ, what was the other match? The first match of
Was
the
it the
night.
MJF one?
Oh my god, MJF versus fucking Kyle Fletcher. Oh my god,
Yeah,
what a match. Then the 3-on-3 match that we got, Roosh,
yeah, yeah.
uh what was it? Roosh, not El Toro Blanco. What the fuck's his name?
Oh, Bandito
Nah, the guy, the Toro, Toros,
Taurus. Yeah, the Beast Mortos.
the Beast Mortos and Roddy. Oh my god,
Roderick
Roderick
Strong.
Strong versus fucking FTR and Orange
Orange
Cassidy. What a
Cassidy.
fucking goddamn match! But what was that about? What was the
None
storyline
of these
there?
storylines go anywhere. That's the
Who the
thing.
fuck cares though? We got okay. Listen, this is my point. 3 pay-per-view quality matches on a
Yeah,
fucking Wednesday night.
yeah.
Suck
Just
me
a
off. That's all
yeah,
I want.
yeah. And sometimes that's all we want out of wrestling. It's just make
That's
it
what I
make
want.
sense.
Right? People are here for the people come for the storylines, people come for the jokes. I'm here for the sporting aspect. I'm a sporting guy. I like basketball, I like hockey, I like
Hmm.
sports. I'm here for the spectacle.
There you go.
The storyline sometimes helps.
Yes.
And I admit it today, like what I just said with the Bryan Danielson, I don't get what the fuck's happening there with
Yeah.
that storyline. But the spectacle of those 3 matches just
Yeah.
suck
Like
me.
the storyline right now, the storyline with MJF and Kyle and Will Ospreay, I like that. That's a good
And
storyline.
it's fine.
But the whole thing of protecting kayfabe with Alicia too and
I
Britt
don't care
Baker.
about that. I don't care about that. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to speculate on that. I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying. If you want to talk on it, feel free. But
No,
I
I'm
just
just
don't
saying,
care.
like, pick and choose your battles. Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. Gold, fucking gold. 3 gold matches.
Yeah.
Ring of Honor pay-per-view was gold.
Yeah.
Rampage was good. Well, what they were on
Oh,
Saturday right now.
the whole Mariah May where she unwraps the picture and like,
Yeah, like Mariah May and Tony Storm storyline is the best women's storyline going right now. Shout out
agreed.
to Anna Jay doing good in the fucking Stardom tournament. The
Yeah.
N1 tournaments just started. N1 Victory. I didn't watch any of it yet, but I heard it was pretty
It's
solid.
been going well. Yeah.
G1 tournament. I mean, I know we're not there yet, but
Zach's already qualified. He
Zach,
won
I
block
think
A.
Zach's gonna win. Anyways, do you want to have anything else AEW before we move?
No, let's move on
Okay,
because I got nothing else.
I think Zach's gonna win.
You think Zach's going to win it all?
I
You
think
think this
Zach's
is going to
gonna
be
win.
Zach's year?
I think Zach's gonna win. I think it's gonna be, and I think the final is gonna be Zach versus Jeff Cobb.
Hmm.
And it's a rivalry.
It is.
And
Absolutely.
can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
We watch a lot of Japanese wrestling,
Mm-hmm. Yes, we
and
do.
they do good long-term booking.
Yes.
We've been complaining a lot about the storytelling in New Japan. Is this the one where we finally get a complete fucking story? Is this
Well,
it?
because Zach's beaten. Has he beaten Naito?
Yeah, he beat
Yes,
Naito. He beat
that's right.
Naito.
He beat Naito. So if Zach beat Naito, you
Is
think
this when
this?
Zach beats Jeff Cobb in the finals and then Zach wins the world title?
I think so. I think they're finally going to pull the trigger with Zach.
And then do we have a match later on down the road where you have a not a title unification, but a multi-title match with Jeff Cobb versus Zack Sabre Jr.
Sabre
to end the
Jr.
feud,
for both belts.
to end the feud, and then later you have Zack Sabre Jr. lose it to Shota because Shota's gonna be the next guy.
Yeah.
Shota's gonna be the next guy, but right now
Even
it's
though
not.
he's like not doing
Bro,
too
in
well
this
in
tournament, let me tell you something.
he's been
Fucking
50-50.
every single fucking goddamn match Takeshita has been a 5-star fucking banger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a
Takeshi has
five
been
fucking.
fantastic. Jake
I'm
Lee has been very good in this too.
oh, buddy. Let me tell you
Well,
something.
Bolton, Oleg Bolton, for crying out loud, has been good.
I'm gonna give you two. I know we're gonna talk about this in a thing, but
Yeah.
Jake Lee versus Shota and fucking
What was that?
ELP versus Takeshita were the
Those were two.
arguably two of the best matches of the whole year.
Yeah.
Period in wrestling, buddy. I don't. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Okay, so the Takeshita match where
The,
they put set up the table and
mm-hmm.
they held out on you. They fucking held out on you. They made you
Yeah,
think it
they
was gonna be.
tease you with it.
He did the same two moves where you're like, oh, it's gonna be a blue thunderbomb shit, and they're just redoing this for Japan for the Japanese audience. But no, it didn't happen. Then they set up the move from ELP from the top rope with the table being
Mm-hmm.
wobbly. But I realized the table being wobbly was real. Okay,
Yes, that wasn't part of an
that
act.
was a
Yeah.
shoot that really happened. Okay, but he wasn't supposed to hit that.
No.
So that I was like, at first I was like, oh, this is bad because the table's loose. That's why they're doing this. But I realized through the combination of moves that they did that
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to fucking happen.
Yeah.
And what a fucking match.
Yeah.
What an absolute match. Bro, I'm so upset with Sad Boy ELP. But buddy, we love ELP on this goddamn channel. ELP's right up there with Ninja Mac for us. We love you. You're a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Buddy,
Good old Canadian boy.
Dude, he's so fucking talented.
I think right now with all the stuff that's going on, especially with like New Japan pushing their next guys, I think ELP is getting a little lost in the mix. ELP could benefit from a move to North America to either to Ring of Honor or to TNA.
I'm gonna say this, and you can judge me based on this, okay? AEW right now. Who's the best wrestler last year? Who do we pick?
It was Ospreay.
Will Ospreay, okay? Best wrestler in the world. The best wrestler in AEW right now is Konosuke Takeshita. I said that quietly. He's fucking god tier, bro.
He is. And he's not, because I think it's also because he's not as big of a name as
let's just look at this, okay? And this is not to take away from Will Ospreay, who is god tier. Best matches of the year
have all been Takeshita.
Who did he fight? Kenny Omega.
Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho. Bryan Danielson. Swerve. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Listen to what I'm saying. Takeshita fought Kyle Fletcher. He fought in a 6-man ladder match. He fought in the G1 in a regular match against ELP and had a 5-star fucking banger. Takeshita is the best wrestler in men's wrestling right now, and I'm gonna die on that fucking hill.
I would say Takeshita is probably there. PWI may not recognize that. I'm just doing this from an outsider's because he has no titles.
Right. But I think, want me to tell you something? Even PWI considered into it, the way they factor in things. I think he's going to be number 10 on the list. Okay. And I say number 10 for the fact that because of the titles. But listen to me. I don't want to sound like a guy who's being a psychopath. He's the best wrestler of 2024. It's Konosuke Takeshita.
Yeah.
I'll die on that fucking hill right now. And I'm sorry. Like,
because this year
goddamn there's a reason Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi pointed this fucking guy out as a teenager and we're like, this is the guy.
This is the next guy, yeah. My worry, like not my worry, but my theory behind what's going to happen is because they're going to put Cody number one. I know that.
Yeah, but PWI doesn't matter. We know
No.
what PWI is going to be. Okay, we know that
Yeah.
it's going to be Gunther. It's going to be fucking Cody. It might be
Roman
MJF.
Reigns.
It doesn't matter. We know what we know who 7 of the top 10 are going to be, right?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. But I think creeping it at number 10 with no titles to his name is Takeshita. Why? Because he's been so amazing. They can't deny him, but they can't put him deeper into the list.
Yeah.
So he'll take a 10 spot.
My question is now for someone who didn't make the list last year, where does Naito fall in that list this year?
Naito doesn't make it again. He makes the top 500, but he doesn't make the top 10. And it upsets me because that's my favorite wrestler in the world right now. Okay.
Okay.
Barring Kenny Omega. We
Yeah.
know this. I know I make this joke all the time, and I'm getting very excited. I've been drinking.
Okay.
Um, I get very excited. But you know this for a fact. You can vouch for me.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to Japanese wrestling, Naito was actually my favorite wrestler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of
Like
course.
maybe he's in my top 10 all time. He's in my top 5 all time. He's
Whereas I
Kenny,
got Nakamura in my top 10 all time.
right?
Like,
But that's fair because you grew up in that fucking time period,
mm-hmm.
right? So for me, it's just uh I love Kenny. I love Kenny. I
Well,
love Kenny.
Kenny's probably top 10 all time.
No, Kenny's top fucking 2 all time, man. Let's get out of here. I'm gonna be. You want me to give you top 3? You want me to be really, really honest? I'll give you
And you're
top
gonna go
5.
what? Kenny, Brett?
No, I'm gonna give you top 5. Okay, don't even guess. I'm gonna give you top 5 all time.
Okay.
Not no order.
Go ahead.
Macho Man,
Mm-hmm.
Ric Flair,
Mm-hmm.
Bret Hart,
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Omega,
Mm-hmm.
Chris Jericho.
It's hard to disagree.
Top 5 all time.
Hard to disagree with that. Hard
That's
to
not a bad
if
top 5, right?
that's a excellent top five.
Um, but my personal top 5, I would have Naito in it. I love
Yeah.
Naito. He's god tier to me. I love the character. I think he's so cool. He's so fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
And if only, and I talk to my buddy about this all the time. Um, eh, he needs to change his moveset. Like you see what's happening to Tanahashi.
Adjust more as he's getting older, adjust more to a different style as you get
Yes,
older. That suits
and
your
we're gonna talk about this. Okay, we're gonna open this conversation right now. We have our Tanahashi beef, but we're never
Mhm.
doubting that Tanahashi is one of the greatest of all time.
Oh yeah.
We would have a Nakamura beef, but the problem is you don't see Nakamura enough to know what's wrong with him. Okay, we see Kenny enough.
Nakamura 2010 to 2000, I would say even 16, right up until the end of his NXT run.
Fair,
That
fair.
prime Nakamura.
But we don't see him enough to point at him where we point at Tanahashi and be like, "There's something wrong." Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Okay. But
because
with Naito, what
Tanahashi
you're starting
trots
to
out
see
at every show.
with Chris Jericho, you know his weaknesses, but because he's so evolutionary, he keeps evolving and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He it's hard to pinpoint weaknesses on him because he moves. Where the Japanese guys don't seem to move, right? Like even
Yeah.
Nakamura has the same move set, but like I said, we don't see him enough to judge him, and I'm not going to judge him. We're going to move
Yeah.
on from that.
Because we haven't seen him in months.
Tanahashi will not adapt to what he's capable of. Naito can no longer do
Yeah.
Destino.
We saw that match against Sonata at Wrestle Kingdom.
We're watching that match every fucking night on the G1. He cannot
Mhm.
do it. I'm sorry. That's my favorite wrestler. That's my favorite goddamn wrestler. I'm telling
Yeah.
you this. I'm sorry if I'm screaming.
That's okay.
He cannot do it. He cannot
It's
do
done.
it.
He has to evolve.
He needs to evolve as a wrestler because the character is so good. He's such a fucking goddamn talented wrestler. He's one of the greatest of all time, not of his generation, of all time. He has the G1s, he has the belts to prove it. Okay. Yes, he never left New Japan. And you can make the argument about the WWE people, right?
Mhm.
I make that argument all the time, but let's just be what it is.
Would Roman Reigns be Roman Reigns in New Japan or in Noah
No.
or in,
But
no,
let's
exactly.
let sleeping dogs lie, okay? He needs to figure that out because when he's 20 minutes into a match, he cannot pull off a Destino.
He's gassed.
He can't even pull off a Valencia.
Yeah. think about how he could shock and amaze the audience by pulling off a brand new finisher that looks cool without having to do the flip.
Or make Valencia into a super move where you use the ropes as your benefit
Hmm.
and make it into a super move now where it's Valencia and Destino as one
Into one.
and Valentino.
Valentino.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like I don't want to harp on it. This is like I said, this is my top five, dude. And this is the reason I'm watching wrestling again is between him and Kenny and it bothers me because and I love Okada. Well, you know my feelings on
Yeah.
Okada. Okada is the Roman Reigns, but like Okada in AEW is god tier, bro. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
His comedy is like, who would have
It's
thought he'd
something
be like,
special, man. And his fucking matches are gold.
yes.
When you give him the Japanese power
Yeah.
of King's Road, whatever, but you flex it with that, putting him with a really good American wrestler that could do the squiggly stuff.
Like an
You don't want to
Orange
go full
Cassidy
lucha,
or
okay?
something.
I don't want
Yeah.
him to go full lucha. I don't want CMLL, but give him
No.
like an Orange Cassidy guy that can squiggle
Yeah.
and put him in there. Wow, what a
Like
fucking
he,
match!
like if we ever get Okada versus Swerve.
And this is what I like. And it's not to say that North American wrestlers can't wrestle like because they do the indies, they know what it's like. They do death
Hmm.
matches, blah blah blah. But when you get Okada in there on a Wednesday night or a Saturday night, and he's just full out clobbering people when he's clotheslining them and
Yeah.
drop kicking them, and those American wrestlers are feeling that like
Why haven't we
Japanese
seen
guys,
Okada
they'll
versus
hold him
Claudio
back.
yet?
That would be fuck. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for making something for me to look forward to. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I want him to win the Ring of Honor world title. Um, I just
Okada. Why haven't we seen Okada versus Takeshita yet?
listen. Okada's just good. Okay, let's be honest. I'm not the biggest Young Bucks fan.
No.
I know they're from our group. There's not like everyone doesn't always love them. I think me and you might be the biggest. I know Caps doesn't really like them, and I know Putty hates them.
Yeah, Putty hates them.
But they're revolutionary, and maybe we get the same match every time, but it's just what they do. That's why FTR is special too, right? Because you kind
Yeah.
of get the same FTR match, but it's special. Watching that's the
Because
Briscoes.
it's different. It's different than everything else that's out there.
We watched three of the greatest tag team since I've come back to wrestling. Okay,
Mhm.
let's be honest. Between me and you, we watched three of the greatest tag team matches of all time.
That death match between the Briscoes and FTR.
Three of them,
Yeah,
and it's
the
like
trifecta.
and buddy, FTR versus fucking um Goto and
Oh, Bishamon.
Bishamon, those were gold. And then FTR versus fucking the Lucha Bros. FTR versus fucking the Young Bucks. Listen, we're spoiled as fuck.
Yeah, for tag teams.
FTR is the greatest tag team of all time. I'm just gonna say it. I'm
I
just
would
gonna say it.
say the greatest tag team of modern times.
I'm gonna say it the greatest tag team of all time from my mouth. You don't have to say it from my mouth.
Okay.
I see they're gonna win the CMLL titles. I see it.
Yeah, because
Um,
that AAA fell out.
yeah, but they won the AAA, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're gonna win those. And I think there's going to be something in the works for maybe Dragon Gate or Dragon Gate, GCW. I'm closing my eyes. I'm trying to think of the names. All Japan, Noah maybe even
Noah, I don't see
well, hold on,
Noah.
wait. MLW where they win one of those just to
Yeah, I
tack
could
on.
see MLW, but
I
Noah,
could
I don't
see
see.
AEW. I could see Tony Khan dishing out the cash to let them win one of those titles just to pad.
I
Just
would
to pad.
say, like, out of all of them, the most realistic one to me would be the CMLO.
Gemelo, it's gonna happen. I know that's gonna happen. We that's without a doubt.
Yeah.
And good for them. They're
Let's get that done before Cash Wheeler goes to
listen,
jail.
I know this video's long now. I love the Bucks.
Yeah.
I love the Bucks. And I think they're revolutionary. But I think FTR is in a different class than the Bucks.
Yeah. 100%.
And I think back to what the original argument we made 20 minutes ago, because I don't know if this video is 15 hours long. The Lucha Bros are in that category with the Bucks. I think that Penta, a lot of people, this is a thing, right? So for
Maybe
his
we'll get a
TNA run,
rematch from the Lucha Underground where Penta went up against Io Sky.
right? And it's like I think people get blurred vision because of the fact that we saw so much Ray Phoenix
Yeah.
because of his TNA days. In North America, he's much more rubbed in our face. But Penta's better than him.
Yeah. Penta's
Um,
a little older, but yeah, he is better.
but Penta is a special, is a really special wrestler, a really fucking special wrestler,
Yeah.
and we're just lucky to see this stuff. This is listen to me, listen to what I'm
No,
saying, listen to this entire
of course.
conversation we've had tonight. I started watching wrestling in 2022. Was it?
Literally
No,
3 years. Like,
2023.
was it 2022 or 2010?
2022, yes. Revolution. AEW Revolution
Revolution was the first, your
2022.
first pay-per-view back.
Listen to how I'm talking. If you want to get in the comments and tell me I'm wrong about stuff, that's fine. But I feel like I earned my keep in these conversations about wrestling because I didn't just come into it and be like, oh, I'm gonna watch wrestling. I dug and I watched and I learned and I fucking grew as a fucking person and I learned about all the history that I missed. And if
Mhm.
you can you tell me that I'm wrong?
No, not at all. You've become close to me in terms of like history and knowledge and
And when I
like you're,
don't know something, I ask you or my buddy Jeremy always like about like stuff like how were these guys at this time? Like explain to me, let me know knowledge. How did this guy
yeah.
was he great?
And thanks to the internet now, you can go back and watch some of these.
Listen, hands down. Just gonna say this and then we can move on. Hands fucking down, without a doubt, in the history of the annals of wrestling, name anybody you want that's great. The most appreciated wrestler of all time, that's also simultaneously the most underrated and overlooked wrestler of all time, is Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah,
The
depends on
character,
what. Yeah.
the stories. He won 2 WWE titles, okay? An Intercontinental title, and 4 WCW titles. No tag belts, no intermediate belts in WCW. This guy is absolute god tier wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Without him, we don't get Jay Lethal.
Nope.
Who and people and back to this, speaking as someone who's not even that deep into wrestling, one of the most influential wrestlers of all time, Jay Lethal. Without Jay Lethal, I think the future of wrestling doesn't look how it does now. And I think
No,
he does
Jay
not get
Lethal was
credit.
integral in those early TNA days.
He does not get credit for what he deserves. And
Hell,
and
I don't even think we get somebody like an AJ Styles.
we don't
He
on
was
top
so Savage was so instrumental in those early days of TNA.
dude, Jay, listen to me. Macho Man is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
That match still holds up as one of the greatest matches of all time. And that's not
It's
just
still
because
talked about
Ricky
to this
Steamboat
day.
is God tier. Ricky Steamboat is also God fucking tier.
He's one of the guys that's like, because he's never won a major championship, that's overlooked.
Add him to the list. But this is the difference. He's overlooked in the sense that he never really hit that pinnacle. Macho Man, as someone who hit the pinnacle and
During this is in the middle of Hogan's heyday
you
run.
understand what I'm saying? Like what I'm considering him as, for someone who's considered and as widely known as one of the greats, he's still overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
He's amazing, amazing, and shout out to Ricky Steamboat because he's also amazing.
Yeah.
And it's like Jay Lethal's amazing. I know we just talked about that, but like
Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett overlooked because
Yeah.
his '90s shit was so dumb.
Slap nuts and all that.
His TNA run for what he did for wrestling, however you want to take it, however you want to look at the matches or how he gifted
With Jeff
himself
Jarrett,
titles.
he's had a lot of high peaks and low valleys.
Him and his dad are
Probably two of the
instrumental
greatest wrestling minds of all time,
all
too.
time, all time. I'll give Jeff Jarrett that all time wrestling mind.
I
Period.
think I think when Jarrett is not booking himself, that's when he's at his best.
Yeah, absolutely,
Because you could
absolutely.
tell when he was booking himself in WCW, it didn't really work.
Also, side note, shout out to Scott Hall. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if he wasn't so fucked up, he would have been one of the greats. I still don't not think that he belongs in the conversation of like the Hall of Famers, like when you talk about sports, but with the size and the physique and the skill set that he had and the talking,
If
like
we're if we're
he
going
was
that way, I got to give a shout out to Rick Rude.
give a shout out to Rick Rude. Rick Rude Absolutely deserves it. Rick Rude is one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time, period.
Mhm.
And also, just quick shout out specifically into the WCW era, not beyond that, Johnny B. Bad.
Yes.
I think that
Johnny.
was a really
Yeah.
smart character. That
Yeah.
was Goldust before Goldust.
Yeah.
Goldust is a ripoff of Johnny B. Bad.
In a way, yes.
But Dustin Rhodes, super underrated. Um, I think one of the greatest minds ever in the
Dustin
history
Rhodes
of
is a
wrestling.
great mind. He's also an excellent company man.
He's also a great wrestler.
Yeah.
His era in
Because he's willing to do whatever it takes to put the company over.
his pre WWF Goldust run is phenomenal. His
Like
matches against Stone Cold in WCW
CW. Yeah.
are great. That feud was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I watch wrestling. I've caught
We
up.
all do. We all do.
You know, like I've
Yeah.
judge me how you want. I watch it for 3 years. I know my shit.
Yeah. And we've
Dustin
really
Rhodes.
ingrained ourselves into the art of wrestling, I
All right,
guess.
let's move on from this.
Let's move on. Let's quickly, before we close up, let's talk about TNA. After hitting a rough patch, they seem to have rebounded. They've seemed to
Yes,
have found their footing.
because I think that Slammiversary was good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what's coming for them at what's it called? The
Bound
main
for Glory.
Bound for Glory is good. I don't like all the storylines really, but I think what they're setting up could have potential to be great. And I'm going to be honest with you,
And
and I'm
the
going to say
in-ring
this.
product has been good. Let's not.
I want your opinion on this.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm losing my
And
voice
I'm
here.
gonna just give me a second to rant because I think maybe I'm just digging too deep into this, but when I'm looking at what's happening right now, and I'm seeing Joe Hendry appear on NXT and the possibility of Josh Alexander, and then you have Jordan Grace, who's one of the best female wrestlers in the world right now. WWE is gonna poach everybody from TNA.
This is basically them cherry picking them.
This is it. Because look at what you're seeing. Look who's showing up on NXT. Look who's showing up for the WWE events. And then look at the
Mhm.
other side. Who the fuck is Wolfgang? Or whatever the fuck that guy's name is.
Oh, from Gallus,
Who the
Joe
fuck is
Coffey, Mark Coffey,
who the fuck are these people? Why am I watching Thursday night Impact to see
Nathan Dempsey,
Nathan Dempsey show up?
Tavion Heights,
But you have Tuesday night fucking NXT, which is a dog shit show, equally as dog shit as Impact, and you have Joe
Joe
Hendry
Hendry,
showing up
and the Rascals.
and the Rascals. Explain this to me. What do you what
See, but in a
is
way,
TNA
TNA.
is TNA worth getting 50,000 more views on a Thursday night worth losing all of your wrestlers?
See, but I think they're also being selective too because
They're not
you're
being
get
selective.
yeah, because you're getting Joe Henry, but you won't see a Josh Alexander while Joe
Josh
Henry's
Alexander is supposed to show up. The big storyline right now, I'll tell you this right now. This is what I've heard. This is insiders
with
all in.
Ethan
This is
Page.
not me watching YouTube dum dum. This is not me being a smart mark. This is the storyline I'm hearing. He shows up, he beefs with Ethan Page for a bit. Then Ethan Page will lose the belt. They will join together as a tag team again. They will win the NXT tag belts. That's what I've heard. And do I like that? Absolutely, because that's a cool storyline. But what
Mhm.
does that mean for TNA? It means that you're giving up good, and you're getting bad, and you're doing it for 20,000 more views on a Thursday night.
Mhm. Mhm.
You're doing it for 100 more pay-per-view buys.
Which is not worth it in the end.
You're doing it for 200 more pay-per-view buys. But you know what you're doing? You're getting eyes on NXT on Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
But you know what
And
you're
in a
doing? You're
way, yeah,
getting
because
nobody.
you want to see these guys tune in Thursday nights to TNA.
But and we love TNA. Okay, this is not.
Yeah.
And I'm upset because he's gone. Scott Demore, I love you. You're right up there with Ninja Mac and fucking ELP and
Yeah.
Konosuke Takeshita for us. Okay. Um, no, it's not it. TNA is just not the same.
They're
Better.
they're they're better, yeah.
They've
That's right.
gotten better, but
And that's
from the
exactly what I
Demore
was trying to get to.
from
Like,
the Demore line until Slammiversary was a stark fall off.
yeah.
it was like Endgame, and then all the movies after Endgame, and now we're at Deadpool 3, which is kind of better. It's a little bit better,
Slightly better.
slightly better. I mean, you liked it better than I did. Um, but yeah,
Just like Slammiversary.
this is the best conversation we've ever had.
Yeah. Quick thing we didn't touch upon in WWE. We got the Women's Speed
Yeah,
Championship
fuck
coming up.
off. I don't want to talk about it. You hear what I just said? Just let's move on.
Let's
What
move
is
on.
that? What is that? You're gonna number one, just the men's title. Okay, let's talk about the men's title. It's
Which is
a
irrelevant because Andrade never comes out with it.
it's a goddamn promotional tool. So I posted a thing. I made a comment on a post today about that, specifically about that. I've got 120 likes on my comment, okay? Where I said, and I quote, I think they do need more belts, especially in the women's division. However, those specific belts in both divisions are just a marketing tool and a terrible idea because that's all they are.
Yeah.
There's no one's watching those matches,
No.
at least not in AEW terms, Ring of Honor terms, TNA terms. People are watching those matches.
Yeah.
In WWE terms, where you're pulling 1 million views on a Monday night, 2 million views, you're getting 100,000 views on Twitter to watch this dumb shit that nobody gives a shit in a category of women
Yeah.
and men that nobody cares about. We love Andrade.
Mhm.
Nobody in WWE cares about Andrade.
No.
They don't even have a physical belt.
There isn't a physical belt. I thought there was a physical belt.
Is there a physical belt now?
Yeah, there is.
There wasn't.
There is.
When Ricochet had it, there wasn't.
No, there's a picture with Triple H and Ricochet, and he's holding the belt.
Fuck off. There's no belt. That's what I'm living with that.
Just like there's no, I have no cat.
He doesn't have a cat. This is a dumb fucking thing. This is so stupid. It gives me a migraine thinking about it. Your roster's so bloated. You want to talk about AEW being bloated? That's fine. That's cool because NXT to me, I don't care if anyone watches Ring of Honor at all. NXT is not in a category with Ring of Honor, especially not the 3 pay-per-views a year that Ring of Honor puts on that are absolute fucking bangers every goddamn time. And NXT puts on good pay-per-views. We know this. But where is the leverage of where you go from what do you call it? What do you call NXT like as an organization? To
Like a
WWE.
developmental, like
a developmental. Yeah, it's a developmental. It is what it is. But then you get up to the main roster and you have 2 men's belts on each show, 2, and you don't care about the tag belts, so that's irrelevant to me. Who you have 4 belts, 2 of them you don't fucking care about. Bring me in a trios belt across the companies, or bring me in a Euro belt or a lower tier mid card that crosses both companies, because that's what I want. I don't want a fucking speed belt. And for the women's, give them just, you brought the North American women's belt. You don't need to give me an intercontinental and a US. Just bring in 1 mid card belt for the women
across
that crosses both shows.
Kind of like what they do with the tag belts. It crosses all 3 shows.
That's all I want. That is all I want. A women's mid-tier belt, a low mid-tier belt, and a men's mid-tier, low mid-tier belt that crosses both shows. Just give me that. And if you want to give me a trios belt, I'll fucking take it. Because I think WWE has a fucking problem with factions, and so does AEW. New Japan fucking Japanese people just fucking get it. Mexicans fucking get it. Stop breaking people up. I don't need that sort of. Give me 3 years of that and then break it up and make me feel emotions like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Toru Yano's leaving Chaos. He turned around.
Terrible example, but yes.
No, but wouldn't this be the most shocking thing to you if you had all of Chaos in the ring pre Okada leaving?
Yeah.
They're giving like a speech, fuck LIJ, blah blah blah, and then Toru Yano pulls out the chair and just cracks Okada over the head with the fucking chair, knowingly, and then takes a beat down from everybody. And that's something that I think wrestling is missing. That little aspect there.
The only time they did that it worked was the Shield.
But think of it like this, okay? Think BCC. You have all 4 guys in the ring. They're giving a speech. Yuta cracks fucking Bryan Danielson in the head with a chair. He takes the beat down. But doesn't that make him look even cooler that he took the beatdown?
Yep.
Not like if it's just one guy turning on one guy. Like I'm saying on Chaos. Imagine if Toriano just turned, Hato caught out the
Especially
turn,
someone
and
like
they beat him
Toriano,
down,
because nobody would
and
expect
then
that.
he came up from that beatdown and then brought back his old style of wrestling and was like, "We're coming back with this. I'm going to bring back Gato and Jotto, and we're going to bring back this group of like these old guys that are just greasy fucks."
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm going way off topic, but that's what I want. That's a storyline of a build that I want. I don't need you to tell me the bloodline and break them up a month later. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean anything to me. I don't need you to do Pain Incorporated with Mark Briscoe and Thing, and then what, you're gonna break them up a month later? I don't fucking care.
Yeah. The conglomeration.
You told a fucking amazing story with Trent Beretta, and goddamn fucking Orange Cassidy. It was so fucking good, and I fucking loved it, and I ate every fucking second of it, and then you did what you did.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They squandered it.
That's
They squandered it.
best video we've ever filmed.
Yes, I agree. If that's all, then all right. So with that out of the way, guys, tune in next week. Next week, Campo and I will recap the G1 tournament 2024, G1 34. We'll talk about our ups and our downs. We'll talk about some of our few favorite matches. Shout out to that ELP match versus Hiroki Goto where he won. Finley versus Cobb was also good the other night. So we'll talk about that.
One. That was actually good. And there was Zack Sabre Jr.'s last match was really good too.
Yes.
I think it was Gabe Kidd.
Gabe Kidd, yeah. Who's he facing? He's going to be facing Leo Rush at Capital Collision for the belt.
I'll watch that.
Yeah. And Zach's going to be facing Titan.
Ooh, that's a good match. That's a fucking good match.
Yeah. Hanako is going to be facing Trish Adora. Mercedes Monet.
I don't know if I need Trish Adora. I don't know, but I get it.
We still don't have an opponent for Mercedes, and
you don't have an opponent for Mercedes. You don't have Johnny Robbie right now, and you lost Stephanie Vacour, so you're in like a weird period.
Yeah.
And Willow's doing other things.
TMDK will be facing Hichisero and Virus.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a banger.
Yeah, the little I've seen with Hichisero on AEW, it's been.
Let's hope it's going to be good, because Capital Collision last year was dog shit.
Yes, it was. I can give you last year's score too if you want it. Last year, Capital Collision, August. Was it in August or was it in July?
It might have been in September. It was dog shit.
It was poo.
Is Timmy on it?
It was in April. It was, yeah, we gave it like a 7.
Yeah, it was nothing special.
Yeah. Because it was a 2-night. The second night, the one in Philadelphia, was horse shit.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, they did the Capital Collision and Collision in Philadelphia, and then Impact did Rebellion, which was an amazing show.
Yeah, the Impact was on fire last year.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Okay. So tune in next week for our G1 review. We'll go in depth with that. We'll talk about some of our favorite matches, why we think Zack Sabre Jr. should win, and why he didn't win, which we don't know yet. I'm just making shit up. So with that out of the way, guys, thanks again for joining us. My voice is gone. And in the words of Kenny Omega, goodbye and good night.